evening, everybody. It is 100 degrees here on the dot at 5 o'clock on the dot. Is that not crazy? Just give me a little bit of time and I'll be complaining about the cold and Christmas shopping. Let's see who made it back from the first show this morning. Jules, she said, I'm so glad you are doing this topic today. I've been doing a little research. Jules was burning the midnight oil reading about this case. This is a brand new case. There is an open investigation. We don't know what happened, except that it is bizarre, as bizarre can be, and tragic and heartbreaking. There's a lot rolled into one. So this is the first show we have done on this about Kyle Mormon and his 3 beautiful children. We're going to try to get through the timeline, some news clips, and then go from there as more comes out. And as always, agree to disagree. And you guys tell me where you're leaning and what you're thinking about the case. Let's see who else is in here. Shannon, Georgia Peach. Uli Girl said this is 2 miles from me. Wow. Misty Dew. Bob. Trouble. Hello, Trouble. Gaelic Girl. Yeah, exactly, Gaelic Girl. There's no words for this. There's no words. Stir of Echoes, good evening. Venetia, also a new member, good evening. Lex Luthor has never heard of this case. You're going to hear about it now. There's just me, Mama Kay. How are you? Let's see. Amy Conway, how are you, hon? The Walking Dead says, I need to know more. Like, why? What happened? We're going to try to go through that, and I think we're going to be able to kind of figure it out here on our own. Deborah Wallace, good evening. Fruit Loop, how are you? 7 Alibis. We got a lot of Indiana people in here. Melanie, 54, hello. Bonnie, hello. Hope everyone's having a good evening. This is a crazy case. Like I said, it's a heartbreaking case. What we know as of right now, last week, I want to say July 6th. Let me look. It was on a Wednesday. Hang on. Let me look at my calendar. Kyle took his 3 children. Hang on a second. I got to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. I could not mute myself in time to sneeze. He took his children fishing. The ages of his children are 5, 2, and roughly a year old. Okay. Now, there was somebody in chat yesterday in the Harmony Montgomery show saying that it was 11 a.m., but no, it was 11 p.m. All right, so he took the children fishing. I don't know why they would go fishing at 11 p.m. Some people do night fishing, but especially with the babies, you know, these are little kids, 5, 2, and roughly a year old. They were not seen or heard from after that. So obviously it is a tragedy. There's a lot of other things that are going on that are making people think that maybe the death of Kyle and his children could have possibly been on purpose. Let's bring up our friend Muscles and Mascara. She's also been really deep dive in this case and see what she thinks. Hello, Muscles.
Hello, how are you?
Good. What you doing?
Good. Just finishing up with work and getting ready to start some supper.
Yeah, what are you going to have tonight?
Well, that's a really good question. My son's gone with my mother-in-law to eat, so it's just up to me and my husband, and I don't know what we're going to do. We may just fend for ourselves tonight and call it good. We've got leftovers.
That's one of my favorite dinners. Fend for yourself. Will it be a sandwich or cold chicken? Who knows?
Absolutely.
Melanie here says, yep, this seems intentional. She said it seems intentional. All right, so Tuesday, July 12th, Kyle was seen floating in the water, okay? From there, they towed the car out and found the 3 babies strapped inside. This is outside of Indianapolis, the White River, basically in Whitestown. They say that his neck is broke. This is Kyle. IMPD is using phrases like homicide, and they still need information to help them with this investigation. Now, it's been 2 days since the car was brought out of the water, and the family found. How in 48 hours do they not know if it was an accident or not?
Yeah, this is heartbreaking, honestly, and crazy. And I had a hard time finding a whole lot of information, honestly. But I don't know how they've. You would think there would be some sort of ruling already, or some kind of path that they're going down. Maybe they are. Maybe we just don't know yet. But Lord, I don't know. This is crazy. This is crazy. The broke neck thing floored me. I hadn't read that yet. So, yeah, that floored me when you told me that.
Well, let's look at this really quick. Okay, so there's the car. This is the car they pulled out. Now, let's say that it slipped a gear or something like that, and that it drifted out into the water, off the boat ramp or whatever. They didn't really look around the pond because there was no tire tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I get that he wouldn't have been able to stop the car, saying that he was out of it, but then this car looks wrecked to me.
It definitely does. I wish that there was a picture of the before of that vehicle, and maybe there is. I just don't know it. But I wish that there was one so that we could compare it to see if it was, already just beat to death. Because I know people sometimes will drive that around. So be interested in seeing if that was already that way or if it looks that way now.
That's what I'm wondering too, and I'm wondering. Unless he had the gas pedal floored. How could that much damage be done to it? It looks like it's been wrecked.
Yeah. And have they determined for sure that he went, or have they said that in fact he did use the ramp to get into the water? I know that's the logical thinking. I'm not knowing for sure what the area looks like around it. I don't even know if it's possible to, plunge into the water anywhere else or not, or if it was just in fact the ramp.
That's what I want to know too, because if there's no tire tracks, then how do they know where the point of entry for the car was? And like I said, all 3 children are strapped in. He was found outside of the car. Some people have said with the broken neck, maybe he was ejected and they were going faster.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are saying that he had the car parked. This is just speculation. And maybe he was setting some stuff up and the car got out of gear and he couldn't stop it. Trying to stop it before it went all the way into the water. A lot of possibilities.
There is a whole lot, a lot of answers, or a lot of questions with no answers right now. I can't imagine being the person that recovered this vehicle. It just blows my mind. I can't even imagine it. Reading, listening to them talk about finding that little baby bottle and stuff, that broke my heart. Ugh.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's extremely heartbreaking. So 11 p.m. on the 6th. Now he had texted his brother wanting his brother to go, but he didn't have enough gas money to go pick him up and take him to the pond. I don't know where the brother lives. Is it the sister or the mom? I'm not sure. Said that his phone pinged near that pond several hours later, which would be the early morning of July 7th.
Yes, and I think that was his mother, if I'm not mistaken. Don't 100% quote me, but I'm pretty sure it was his mom that had that, did that interview and said that they had pinged it through Google, from my understanding, themselves. So that's why they were adamant about going to that location.
So, and that's also their frustration that the police never searched that pond.
Yes. Yeah.
My thoughts on that, again, this is just my opinion. They didn't report the family missing until the 9th. Okay, so 3 days had passed when they had called the police. We're going to go through the timeline in a second. So in 3 days, they're not going to assume that that all of them drown in that pond, and that because the car's missing. Had the car been sitting on the bank, obviously they would be like, well, they got to be around here somewhere, but the car's missing. So they are assuming that he took his kids and got out of town.
Yeah, I mean that's the logical thought process behind that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I guess that for me was that. Did you say July 7th?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure my days
No,
run
July
together.
7th, what? July 7th, what?
That was the day that the phone pinged.
Yes, early morning, July 7th. He
Okay.
went fishing at 11 p.m. on the 6th. So
Okay.
a few hours later was the last ping from his phone, according to the family.
Yes. Okay. Just making sure I got my dates right. So I'm trying to write down stuff. But yeah, that's so weird that, I mean, I can see where the law enforcement was like, well, there's no reason to check here. Everything appears to be just normal. So, you would expect to see maybe some bushes or something disturbed somewhere, that kind of thing, or some tire marks on the ramp, maybe somewhere, whatever. So I get it, I understand it. But I understand the family's frustration too. I mean, obviously it's their family. So
it's their family. Yeah. 3
yeah,
little children are
yeah,
deceased, their brother, cousin, son. I really don't know why the family concentrated in that area myself. I mean, yes, I understand the ping, but how did they explain the car disappearing? Did they think somebody stole the car maybe? Because I mean, cars don't just disappear. And hang on, I got to look at something really quick. It was from Court K. She said, I saw a before pic somewhere because he just bought it and it was fine. They did replace his windshield the week before. Okay, so the car was just fine. And then this is what we see. It
okay.
looked wrecked to me.
Thanks, Court.
It looks wrecked.
Oh, it absolutely does. It looks tore all to pieces. Every picture I saw of it, it was horrible. That's why I wondered if there was a way, there maybe enough clearance for if something happened to him. I mean, let's just play devil's advocate. He had a medical emergency or something. Is there a possibility that someone could drive over, into this water? I don't know. I'm not familiar with what the layout of the land looks like. So that's why I'm curious about that, because you would think if you were just, I mean, a ramp is, I realize a ramp is pretty long, but I don't know. I have a hard time if you were just plunging it into the water. I know there's going to be a little bit of a, whiplash effect and that kind of thing. So is that what happened to break his neck? I don't know. It's weird to me. It seems strange. Oh Lord, I don't know. Look at that. That's horrible.
Well, see, it looks like the driver's side window was rolled down. It doesn't look broken out to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was speculated maybe the impact hitting the water that he was ejected. It doesn't look like anybody was ejected. And here's the front of the car. See, it looks wrecked.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand like the bumper and stuff being messed up going into the water. Something is just weird here. Something is just too weird.
It really is. It's so strange. It's so strange. That's crazy.
It is just something is too weird.
Well, and I'm like you, the fishing story, that night, taking those young kids. I mean, I totally get people fishing at night and stuff. It's normal, but go in there with your kids and they're all 5 and under. That is not normal. And I don't know why his family wouldn't have asked that question then. You know what I mean? Because the mom admitted that she knew he was leaving to go there.
They also know, and they acted like him taking the kids fishing was a very common thing. So maybe going fishing at night was a common thing.
Well, you know what? I heard a video too. It just now hit me, and I meant to send it to you, that he had planned to have a sitter. I think somebody was going to watch his kids when he picked his brother up or whatever. Someone, and I don't know who that someone is, was supposed to watch the kids.
Oh.
But when that fell through and he didn't have the gas to get there, then I don't understand that thought process of why that was a good idea. And I don't know. And all that's just what's been broadcasted on the news and stuff too that I've seen. So, but I did hear that he was supposed to have a sitter that night. So I can see that, I mean, I can see that. I'm going to drop the kids off and we're going to go fishing, okay. But you
But
still choose to go there.
you still choose to go, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so if he had plans to pick up his brother, he had a sitter and all that, then it seems like it may not have been what people are leaning to, that it's intentional, but it's still beyond bizarre.
Yeah. Just because he had all that lined up does not necessarily mean that he didn't plan to do something. Who knows? I mean, it's it's crazy. That's crazy.
It certainly is. I'm going to play a news clip. This is from the family a couple of days ago. Then we're going to go through the timeline, try to figure out how on earth any of this makes sense, because an accident is an accident is an accident. Even if it's the freakiest accident ever, we can understand it.
Absolutely.
This, I don't understand at all.
No, I don't either. I don't
understand this at all. Oh, there's our friend Melanie. Melanie, what are you making out of this?
Hey, y'all. Hey, Muscles.
Hey there.
I read about this as soon as it hit the streets. I started reading about this, and there, as far as the broke neck, there's 3 possibilities of why it could be a broke neck. And then I was listening to the whole situation I was reading the timeline. I read the timeline 3 or 4 times so I could wrap my whole head around it. You remember that Susan Smith stuff?
That's the first thing I thought. Except, of course, it was 100% on purpose, and she said she was carjacked and everything, but that's where my head went.
Yeah, and he's the dad with the kids. It kind of gave me those vibes. And then I was like, okay, they're going at night. But I said, well, if you live in the country, going fishing at night's not abnormal. So I kind of was like, okay, that's not a big deal. But then I was like, okay, the kid's strapped in the car and he's got the broke neck. And then I was reading about, well, there was really no legitimate entry for this vehicle to go. And then when they were walking through the tracks, then when they were walking around the pond area, they saw the fresh tracks and the fishing pole. But they were just looking like, how did he really get the car through there?
Oh, okay. Let me look at the pond real quick. Let's look at the pond together. Let's see. All right. So where that red line is and the X, that's where it's believed where the car entered. But why are there no tracks? Has it rained there recently?
Well, they said because they said over there in the area where the pond is, it's a lot of it's some fencing and supposed to be some landscaping, some work being done on and off, and that was, I guess they think that's a good enough reason of why the car could not legitimately get through there unless it's forced.
Okay. Okay, so we have a bunch of people in here from Indiana. Has any of you guys in here, Uli, Amber, Walking Dead, whoever, anybody, has anybody been to this pond? I'm trying to visualize this ramp, this boat ramp. And
who was it said that there was 2 minutes from there, Brooks? Who was that?
Uli.
Okay.
This whole case don't make no sense. That's why I've had to read the article 4 and 5 times, and it just don't make no sense. And the dad, I don't know what his intentions were. I mean, they said that he has no history of drug abuse, no history of mental illness. They done looked him up in the abuse registry, criminal records. Nothing has checked out to be bad. So I guess they're thinking, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, sorry, Brooks, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Has anybody heard about, I was telling Brooks earlier, I heard a video too that the mom was saying something about he wouldn't do something like this because he worked so hard to get custody of those kids. So does anybody know anything about that situation at all?
I do not know, but it could be because he just got custody of all 3 kids. it was said, somebody sent me a screenshot. It was from a Facebook group, of course, saying that CPS was still involved.
Oh.
I don't know what still involved means, if there was something going on with the mom, and so he fought to get full custody and get her away from the kids, but that CPS was still involved, still checking up on the kids and things like that.
Okay.
So yet for this to happen is even more bizarre. I do believe that he fought very hard to get his kids. Of course he did.
Mm-hmm.
From my understanding, they're saying he's an all-around, I guess, decent guy. He doesn't have a bad reputation per se.
No. And I see the pictures from his Facebook that go back years. And it appears in pictures. Of course, we know how pictures on social media look. But loves these children. Every picture is him and his children. Very devoted father.
Yeah, that's what I kept seeing, which makes you scratch your head even more, like what really happened. And that's a scary thought process, that you've got somebody out there that appears, I mean, by all looks, and we don't know for sure, obviously, but by all looks is a decent human being and cares about his kids and that kind of thing, and doesn't have a criminal background. And then if he ends up being responsible for it, I think I'm just going to throw my friggin' hands in the air and not even act like I know I can pinpoint people that are bad, because it's scary.
Unless it's something we don't know. People snap every day.
Yeah, this is very true.
That's what I'm saying. Was he overwhelmed by, having custody of 3 children? I don't know. It's just weird. And why there's an open investigation and they're using words like, please call us with tips, and the word homicide. Homicide is not an accident.
We've heard stories about men with kids who lose their job or financially can't do it, and they kill themselves and the kids.
Let's look at this clip real quick, and then we're going to go through the timeline. Now, remember, I know the family is frustrated, but remember, he was not reported. Kyle and the children were not reported to the police missing for 3 days from when they went fishing. I'm not casting any blame or anything like that on the family at all. We need to remember that it was 3 days before the police got involved.
Desperate for answers.
3 young children and their father missing from the southeast side of Indianapolis.
IMPD and families say that they were last seen around 11 o'clock Wednesday night in the vicinity of South Sherman Drive and Brookville Road areas. WRTV's Nikki DeMentry has been covering this case for 2 days.
Nikki, what do we know about the whereabouts of this young family, now going on 5 days since they were last seen?
Mark and Nicole, the main piece of information we know at this point is that when the 27-year-old father of those 3 children left on Wednesday night, he said he was going on a fishing trip and taking his 3 kids with him. That is why family members of his and community members have been searching areas of water all over central Indiana, frequent fishing spots he went to, including here at the White River, in order to find their loved ones.
You and the babies come home, and I know that you're okay.
As the search for a missing Indianapolis father and his 3 young children continues, there are desperate pleas for help from his family.
He did not fight this hard to get full custody of these babies for something to happen to them, or for him to, it's not Kyle. This is totally out of character.
Canvassing for 27-year-old Kyle Mormon and his 3 kids, 1-year-old Kyron Holland, 2-year-old Kiana Holland, and 5-year-old Kyle Mormon II, began over the weekend. Now, this comes after family reported the 4 missing on Saturday. Both family and police believe the oldest child may be in need of immediate medical care for asthma and a chronic cough.
I don't know what's going on. I don't understand any of this. None of this makes sense to me.
IMPD notes Mormon and his kids was last reportedly seen around 11 p.m. last Wednesday in the 1000 block of South Sherman Drive near Southeastern Avenue. At the time, he told family he was taking the kids on a fishing trip. That's why family is looking around small ponds, the White River, really any body of water.
He goes fishing nighttime. He does that. We're wasn't worried about the fishing part.
Little is known about the whereabouts of the young father and his children nearly a week into their disappearance. Family says Mormon's phone was shut off sometime Thursday, and he has not logged on to social media.
There's not much that we have to go on at this time, so we are asking our community to come forward with information to help us locate this father and his children safely.
IMPD confirms Mormon could have been driving a black 2009 Saab with unknown temporary license plates. His family adds the four-door car has...
Okay, so here's the car. Big difference from what we saw in this picture. So look at that picture.
Yep.
And now there's the picture when they brought it out of the water.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I would expect it to be, nasty, waterlogged. It looks wrecked to me.
Yeah. It certainly does.
And somebody asked, so was that a false sighting, seeing him and the kids at Cracker Barrel? Yeah, I think at this time they've said that was just, nobody made it up or anything like that. It was just mistaken identity.
Has tinted windows and a donut tire on the driver's side.
I was taking my last breath to get them back home.
Now, when talking, I should say, with IMPD, they told me countless times just how crucial it is that the community, if you know something, to say something about this case in order to bring these loved ones home safely. Now, I also asked IMPD about a silver alert. There have been questions about why one has not been issued at this point. A spokesperson tells me that they believe it hasn't met the criteria, which is why they haven't sent one out at this point.
And Nikki, I know you mentioned there about that missing Saab. Are police able to use any type of technology to try to find it?
Nicole, that's a great question. And one of the questions I asked police first thing when I met with them this morning, they told me because the license plate is not known at this point, they can't use things like license plate readers to track down those cars to see if they've been around at all around central Indiana and around the city of Indianapolis at this point.
Okay, so right there, like what they were telling the news reporter, they didn't believe that he stayed around the pond. Does that make sense? They believe that he had taken off with the kids for whatever reason.
Yeah. I can see that.
This is crazy.
It gets stranger and stranger. So let's go through the timeline. So I'm going to read this from a separate article. This is from IMPD News. All right, July 9th, which was Saturday, the Saturday we just had, at 9:17, Kyle Mormon II, Kiana Holland, and Kyron Holland were reported missing by a family member. Okay, so they said that they had all gone fishing, the four of them, at 11 p.m. on the 6th. So that was on Wednesday. So then on the 9th, they called and reported that they hadn't seen them. The family member advised that Kyle was driving a black 2009 Saab with an unknown paper temporary plate. Kyle told the family member he was going fishing with the children at the Wildwood Farms subdivision. Okay, now is this pond at the Wildwood Farms subdivision? Does anybody know? It's off of Bluff Road. Here it is again. Off of Bluff Road. Then on this side, it says South Capitol Avenue. Are these houses over here? Is that the subdivision? All right.
I'm going to try to Google that a little bit while you're going through that too.
Okay. A detective familiar with the area identified a large retention pond called Sloan Ditch located at Hunter Road as a possible search location. At 11 a.m., detectives entered a dirt path behind the Bible Church of Indiana. Detectives observed that the path had recent vehicle traffic with tire tracks in the mud and disturbed brush. Along the drive path, a blue open-face fishing pole was located. Photos were taken of the fishing pole and marked with a GPS map marker. Detectives walked the entire area of the body of water and noticed that there were fresh tracks into the water on a makeshift boat ramp. The officers concluded their search at approximately 12:30 p.m., taking the fishing pole back to the missing persons office. So is that why they're so frustrated that they saw this around that pond and they didn't search the pond?
That's the way I took it, Brooks. I think so. They were, they felt like there was enough evidence there for them to look into the water, and they just wouldn't do it because they didn't. Law enforcement didn't think they saw enough evidence that he potentially could be there. And by the way, that's a 8.6 miles. So it's a 23-minute drive between the 2900 block of Bluff Road and Wildwood Farms subdivision.
Yeah.
Okay. 8.8 what miles?
8.6 miles.
All right, so that's not where he was going fishing then.
No.
All right, so then on the 10th, at 12:40 p.m., detectives called his family. The family advised that Kyle does have custody of all 3 children. So there's no custody dispute going on. He has custody of them. He has no mental illness, no drug abuse, and he had made no threats. So they were already looking into that, which they would. So then they checked the jail records, and they checked with Department of Child Services for possible located children. Okay. All right, so later on the 10th, so that was on Sunday, posters started going out. Posters and photos were sent to Public Information Office to release to the media. Information was also released on social media. 7 o'clock that night, roughly, detectives contacted the last known person to speak with Kyle on the phone, and that individual advised nothing seemed out of place. I wonder who that was. The person said the children were asleep in the car, and Kyle advised his phone was going to lose battery power. Last known contact was 12:24 a.m., July 7th. So is that girl they keep saying he was talking to?
Probably. I don't know that for sure, but they also said that the phone pinged too. So is that just, are they going off of that alone, or did it say he spoke to somebody?
This said that he was on the phone with somebody, and whoever he spoke with, he said, whoever he spoke with, they reported that nothing seemed out of place. The person said the children were asleep in the car. Okay, so he spoke with somebody early morning of July 7th or late July 6th. The kids were all asleep in the car. How the hell did the car wind up in the pond?
Right. That's what's not being told.
All right, so now they're going through how they sent warrants out for historical data on the cell phone and stuff like that. All right, on the 11th, 10 o'clock that morning, anonymous tip. Black Saab station wagon with loud exhaust, eastbound 79th Street, east of Fall Creek. Detectives followed up to this sighting. Tip was unfounded. Okay, well, we know it was now. Phone pings begin on Kyle's cell phone. Cell pings indicated power was off to the device. So then they have another anonymous tip. That was at 10:28 that morning. An individual made statements she was going to kill Kyle and the children. What?
Oh, wow.
What?
Detectives followed up to this information, but the tip was unfounded. Well, lady, were you going to kill him or not? How can that be unfounded? That seems like a threat to me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. My gosh, you either said it or you didn't.
That don't make no sense. And my thing is, they took 3 and 4 days to report. I was just done with so far apart with it being reported. Like 3 days, really?
Well, that really surprised me too, because it's one thing if it's just him that's missing. No discounting his life or anything, but he's a grown man. He could have found a girlfriend, or as long as the kids are accounted for. But to wait 3 days because the babies, where's the babies?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
All right, so then we get into the Cracker Barrel thing. We know that was unfounded. All right, on the 11th, still on the 11th, we're on the 11th still. 2:55 p.m., caller advised they saw a black Saab, tinted windows, tall, white male, no facial hair in gas station parking lot. They had a lot of anonymous tips, and, well-meaning people. Let me put it that way.
You know what? With all these anonymous tips and all these, people coming forward and people telling this. Okay, the kids were strapped in the car, and from there, how did the car get in the damn pond?
That's the tip I'm waiting on. How did the car get in the pond? Especially when he talked to whoever he was talking to on the phone. Like I said, late on the 6th, early morning of the 7th. If the kids are all asleep in the car, how the hell did the car get in the pond? The kids are asleep, so they couldn't have shifted the gear and it rolled in there. They're asleep.
Right. It's like, how did everybody's calling in with irrelevant information? My thing is, okay, if the kids are asleep, okay, like it's not like they were like, okay, cool. They're not playing with the gears and they didn't accidentally put the car in reverse or put it in neutral or anything like that. They were strapped in a car and asleep. Okay, so how'd the car get in the pond?
It just doesn't make any sense. Cars just don't turn themselves on and drive.
I'm telling you, this don't make no sense.
A lot of people are talking about the donut on the front of the car, like maybe something happened with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I just read something right here. It says on July the 10th, it says that detective, let's see, no, that's the wrong one, sorry. A detective familiar with the area identified a large retention pond called Sloan Ditch located at Hunter Road as a possible search locations. Detectives found a path to the pond had recent vehicle traffic with tire marks in the mud and disturbed brush. Along the drive path, a fishing pole was located. They took the pictures, blah, 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 and they walked the entire body of water and noticed the fresh tracks into the water on a makeshift boat ramp. They took the fishing pole back to the missing persons office at 12:30. This was around 11 o'clock on the 10th a.m.
Okay. On the 10th, okay, because the family reported the 4 missing on the 9th. I think they said 9:17 p.m. that night.
Yes, that's the date. That's what I have, yes.
You know what? I think, you know what? It's a possibility. Dude was done with life. Nobody saw it coming. He ended it with them kids. That was his way of ending it and his way out.
That's where a lot of people are leaning, and Jules has a really good point. Were they asleep or were they put to sleep? Did they,
Yeah. You give kids, it's been reported these daycares are giving kids Benadryl and melatonin to knock them out. So, hey, he could have got some tips on how to knock kids out.
Mm-hmm. All right. On July 12th, 10:35 a.m., they had a tip. This one is substantiated. Auto glass repair business advised that Kyle had his windshield replaced the day he went missing. So on July 6th, he had that windshield replaced. Text messages from Kyle and an invoice are collected. Now, this sounds like it's not a big deal, but if you look at the condition of this car when they brought it out of the pond, this was not a slow glide into the water. This car looks like it's been rolled.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Most deaf, yeah.
I'm gonna look at it again. Here it is up on the rack. This I understand it's been sitting in the water for a few days. It looks wrecked.
Yeah, just a vehicle rolling and gliding into a pond ain't gonna make a vehicle look like that. That's a damn head-on collision.
That's what it looks like to me.
That looked like a T-bone and a head-on collision, and then it just got magically appeared in the water.
Okay, so then it says on the 12th at 3 o'clock. Now we know later in the evening is when they found Kyle, found the car, found the 3 babies. Detectives and aviation unit using drones conducted search of Sloan Ditch Pond. Vehicle tracks are located on the pond's edge. However, nothing is observed in the water. I think that's a big part of it. Cars don't just disappear, and they're not putting together that car could be in the water. Because let's face it, That's kind of tough to do for a whole car to go underwater and nobody has seen that thing sinking. They don't just go down like a rock. Tires hold a lot of air.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know. Go ahead, Brooks.
Oh no, I'm good. You go ahead, girlfriend.
No, I'm thinking. I'm reading some of this along with you. Go ahead. I'm good.
All right, so the incident type is death investigation. They've also called it a homicide. This could be just their normal standard print. I don't know. Homicide obviously rings my bell. 2900 Bluff Road. And they said this is an active, ongoing investigation. Puzzling AF, I'll give that to you. Is it an accident or not? What are we investigating? You have tire tracks, 3 babies, the father. He told everybody he was going fishing, even invited a brother. At one point had a babysitter lined up. That seems like that fell through. What am I missing here that there's any investigation?
Right. I'm like you, Brooks. This whole thing that came about, it's like, okay, what are we investigating? We investigating possible foul play, which I think some of it is some foul play. Missing? Are they really missing?
Mm-hmm. Well, it goes on to say, anyone with information about this incident should contact Detective Jesus Soria at IMPD Homicide Office. Why do we have a homicide investigator for an accident?
Exactly.
It goes on to say, alternatively, you can call Crime Stoppers of Central Indiana, gives the phone number. You can remain anonymous. Citizens can also download the mobile app, all that stuff. You will remain anonymous and may be eligible for a cash reward of up to $1,000 if the information leads to a felony arrest. What the hell am I missing?
Oh my God, get out of here.
I don't know. You know what I've just seen too? This one right here says July the 12th at 2:57, a caller believed they saw Kyle Mormon's vehicle stopped on the side of the road at Arlington and / Shelbyville, just south, with trash bags sitting outside the vehicle.
I heard that too. Now, here's another question I have. Just because he said he was going fishing there and that was the last ping and everything, he already said the phone was dying. All right? We already knew that. He could have very well gone back to that pond days later.
Oh, wow.
Brooks, this was planned.
But by him or someone else. We have a homicide investigator. You can collect up to $1,000 if it leads to a felony arrest. There's a homicide investigator assigned to it. Help me here, guys.
I believe it's parties involved. It's not just Cal. This is people. It's somebody out here that knows what all happened from day one, and that they're not telling everything. They're calling in with BS, but they're not telling everything.
But what? Yeah, and that's what I'm interested in. What would be? I mean, he doesn't have a lot of things on his record, so you always go to what have he done in the past, and he's probably still doing. You always go back to that, to where maybe there's some reason for a motive. But there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. They said no drug use, no mental health problems. He had just gotten custody of all the children. Why the 2 youngest one don't have his last name, I would like to know.
Me and you both.
I saw that too, Brooks. I was wondering the same thing. If he's such a solid stand-up dad and so involved and so the bomb, why don't these kids have his last name?
That goes back to the mama.
Yeah.
If the oldest one has his last name, what happened with the mama that the next 2 don't have his last name? Do we know that all 3 children are his?
He could be just raising them as his,
Sharon said, so did the dad die? Yes. Yeah. He was not in the car. The car is submerged. The 3 children or strapped in inside the car. He's outside the car. They found him first. It's reported he has a broken neck.
And that broken neck came from that head-on collision.
That's what I'm wondering. Look at this car.
That broke neck came from a T-bone and a head-on collision. Well, no, it looks more like a head-on collision, yeah.
Look at the front of this car.
It's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
And the people that's calling in need to call in with the right thing and tell what really happened.
So like I said, I have a lot of questions. And no, I'm not throwing any shade at him because we don't know what was going on between him and the mom. She should just be that evil of a person that she's, she has the little girl, has the baby, and she says, oh, they're going to have my last name, not yours. They're already having problems, whatever. Still, I don't get it. I don't get why the oldest child has his last name. The two younger ones don't. I don't understand the fishing at 11 o'clock at night. Call it normal all day, every day. It is not normal. Not with children that age. He has a phone conversation. He says all the children are asleep. We have a car that looks like it's been rolled. All four are deceased now. We have a homicide investigator assigned to the case. You can get up to $1,000 for anything leading up to a felony arrest. Again, what am I missing here?
I can't help you because I don't know. I don't know. It's this one's there truly is a lot of possibilities, but with it's that's the problem. There's so many possibilities, I guess, but without knowing a little bit of background story about them, it makes it super hard to even try to speculate, because heck, we probably won't even be close to what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a question as to why he's sitting at the pond on the phone talking to whoever when he was out there to fish. All right, the kids are in the car sleeping. Fine. You know that they're in there sleeping. Then wouldn't he be out fishing? They found a fishing pole, one fishing pole. Not his and the 5-year-olds. There was one fishing pole. So obviously he did get out and attempt to fish at one point.
Yeah, I mean, somebody had a fishing pole. So that's I just can't even understand why you had the kids out there to begin with. That doesn't make any sense to me. I still can't.
Yeah, kids that young out there at 11, 12 o'clock at night, yeah, that is alarming. It's one thing if it's you, but come on, all those kids, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I don't get that at all.
And you claim the babysitter, supposed to be a babysitter that fell through. Who knows if that's even true?
Hang on one second. Lisa said, my dad died from a broken neck. I'm so sorry, Lisa. The officer said it happens with people not wearing their seatbelt and they hit the front window and they are fine and they can walk until they lay down and they bleed out.
So sorry, Lisa. So sorry.
Okay, some people in chat are saying they think it's staged. He never got out to go fishing. We have never heard, just remember guys, we have never heard that the fishing pole found there. It's going to be common to find fishing things by a fishing pond, right? We have not heard that fishing pole was his.
Absolutely. Yep. That's still on the table. I mean, you're right. We don't know that was his at all.
They took the fishing pole to the missing persons unit and it's like, okay, well, who used the fishing pole?
Mm-hmm. And going fishing at night is not a big deal. Taking your kids fishing at night is not a big deal. I'm looking at a 2-year-old and a baby. That to me is odd.
Yeah, that's the weird part.
Yeah.
The fishing part, wear it out. I mean, heck, I've done that. Raised in the country, that's what you go do. That's where you go catfishing. I don't know. That doesn't even bother me. It's with the kids. If your babysitter falls through and you have a 1, a 2, and a 5-year-old, guess what? You take your hind into the house and go to bed. That's just how it works.
You ain't got to go fishing that damn bad.
No.
Or you wait till you do get a babysitter. Something else. He had to get out of the house for some reason.
Yeah.
Our friend Glorin D. Ellen is in, and she said, sounds as fishy as Josh Powell's camping story. A lot of people have leaned towards Josh Powell. Some people are like, this is some Susan Smith vibes. Some people are like, no, it's just a freak accident. I don't know. He's sitting there. He's a grown man. He's on the phone. If that car started slipping away, don't you think he'd hit the emergency brake? He'd hit the brake. He'd do something.
If the car is slipping away, you're not going to have a broke neck in no car looking like that.
And he's got a phone. If he sees his car going in the water and he's not in it, say he was out and he was fishing, would he not go get help? Exactly. Think about that. Would he not go get help for the 3 children that were in the car as it's slipping into the water? Of course he would. If he's sitting in the driver's seat on the phone with whoever and the donut is bad and it's slipping into the water, wouldn't he be hitting the brakes or something to stop the wheels?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Yes, and just don't. I can't even make sense out of it. I've tried. It don't even make sense.
This whole case don't make sense. And what's even more foolish is the tips. I'm putting in quotation. These tips being called in are just foolish.
Well, I think at that point, nobody thought that he was actually in the water, and they remember seeing a black sob. They remember seeing someone that kind of matched his description. Hell, remember when Brian Laundrie, they thought he was on the run? Everybody, including one of my neighbors, looked like Brian Laundrie that week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that because they were people kept saying that he's out there on the Appalachian Trail and near it, close to our area and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, right. Okay.
Cat Lover 33 said, could tips in quotes be were they there to intentionally mislead? I don't know. I'm going back to this. 27 years old. You know, he's a fit dude. Okay. I'm not saying that, he's a triathlete or anything. Sitting in the car on the phone. Say the car starts rolling. He's going to hit the emergency brake. He's not just going to glide into the water and drown. Or he's outside of the car fishing. He believes the kids are in there all sound asleep. He sees the car drifting into the water or going that direction. He's going to try to stop it. Okay, so he can obviously get hurt that way, but he's got a phone. He's going to call for help. Mm-hmm. Before I play this next clip, let's see what Lone Wolf has to say. What you know, Lone Wolf?
Good afternoon, evening, Brooks.
Good evening, my friend.
I'm still keying in as far as on the vehicle. Okay, I've seen as far as every single picture and everything. The fact the kids were asleep in the car, even if he was outside the car fishing, okay, they're claiming it as far as of right now, it's being investigated as a homicide. The only way for that vehicle to have that amount of damage, okay, would have been if a second vehicle rammed into that car and pushed it into the pond.
Makes sense. So hopefully, I mean, they haven't mentioned different sets of tire tracks, not that they would. So, I mean, I'm assuming they're going to be looking at different tire tracks out there. What's the odds of another car being out there at the same time, weird time of night, at that pond, comes across him and 3 children?
Yeah, and that one article that I read earlier, I'm sorry, hon, that one article that I read, talked about the tire tracks, and then it talked about, the bushes and stuff being disturbed. I mean, did they just report that and do nothing with it, or what? I mean, it just, there's no other updates about that. So, and that was on the 10th. So I'm a little confused though, because I don't know that area. So I'm not sure if that is close in proximity to where they found the car or not, which it doesn't have to be. I mean, it could have floated on down, I guess. I mean, I don't know. That's strange though, but it talks about disturbed bush, disturbed bushes. So could there have been an accident? And that's, a lot of people have even said that it looked like the car might have even flipped. I can't tell good enough with the pictures, but there's something's happened to it. That's for sure.
That's what a lot of people are saying. They're like, it looks like it rolled.
Yeah. So could it have been a hit and run accident? Who knows?
Maybe he had the lights off. Somebody was going too fast, going to the pond, didn't see the car, rammed it, and it goes off into the water.
Yeah, and at that point, his neck may have been broke, but then he was, just like we were talking about, maybe he was coherent enough to realize that he was in the water and he was trying to get out to save his kids. And once that movement happened, that was all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, right here, Wolfcat said the front fender is buckled. Now, remember, tires hold a lot of air. So even if it rolls down into the water, it's not going to be like a head-on collision because, it's hitting the water. You know what I mean? It's not like it's hitting a brick wall. What the hell happened to this car?
That car was wrecked.
Yeah, that car's wrecked.
Yeah.
Wrecked. It wasn't gliding no pond. These people need to get real. Just call them these tips and tell what really happened.
Well, those tips were coming in before they found the car on the 12th. These are people saying, I saw a black Saab. I saw a tall man. That was before. They're not calling tips in now. That was before they found the family.
Well, more people need to come forward. Somebody out there knows something. It wasn't just Kyle involved in this. Somebody needs to come up with what really happened.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Who saw the black Saab the evening of the 6th? En route to the pond, possibly after. We don't know that he was there the whole time. Something could have happened somewhere else and that car got put back over there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, one thing I do know, when a vehicle goes into the water, okay, once the car, and of course, generally, it's when all the windows are up, okay, but once the car fills with water, the car will roll because of the inflated tires, okay, and the car will gradually go down to the bottom, okay? Even if the car did roll once it was in the water, that car, that windshield, the roof at the windshield, and the engine compartment wouldn't have been as busted up after it went in the water. That damage happened before the vehicle went in the water.
That's what it looks like to me.
And that, more than likely, that's what the law enforcement is looking at and why they're claiming it's homicide.
And that makes perfect sense. I was thinking about this too, Lisa Irwin. The YouTube channel, Adventures with Purpose, great bunch of guys, by the way. When they pull these cars out of the water, they're like I say perfect, but you know what I mean. They're not all busted to hell and back like this car.
No, I watched one of those shows not too long ago, and it was, somebody who had swerved to miss something or whatever, and their car ended up, they ended up going into the water, and nobody knew it, and all this different stuff. And it's kind of this situation. They just didn't hear from them, and the phone pinged, and that's what led them to go there. But then the cops didn't search well enough, so then they came in. But that's exactly what happened. They pulled it out, and it looked like nothing was wrong with it, other than obviously it was muddy, but nothing. It was crazy.
Yeah, but not this car. This car, like I said, looks like it was wrecked. Somebody did have a point. They said, well, he had just gotten a new windshield that day. Maybe he had a wreck previously and just got the windshield fixed that day. but he only had the car for a short period of time. But there's no report of any fender bender from when he purchased the car till July 6th.
Okay, that's true. That might be true about the car being previously wrecked and the windshield and stuff, but he didn't have that broke neck then.
He didn't have a broken neck. Thank you. No.
How did he break his neck?
How did he break his neck, and how did the damn car get in the pond?
Nobody's
He's a grown
telling.
man. He's sitting in the driver's seat. He's on the phone with whoever. We don't know. If the car starts rolling, like I said, he's got common sense. He's going to hit the brake, right? He's going to turn the damn thing on and put it in reverse. He's not going to sit there and be like, well, looks like we're going in the pond. If
Right.
he's outside of the car fishing and he sees his car going in the water, the only thing I could think of with that is he's trying to stop it. But even that, he's going to get help. Diane, I'm curious about what the autopsies will tell. Me too.
Me too. I want to know if they've got lung or water in their lungs and all. That's going to tell us a big story too. I'm anxious for that myself.
I am too. Tamara said the cars come out in the condition they went in. Obviously, they're going to be wet and full of water, but they're not going to come out all wrecked and everything like that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No. All right, let's watch this clip real quick. This is blowing my mind, guys. This is blowing my mind.
Tragically ends.
27-year-old Kyle Mormon, along with his 1, 2, and 5-year-old children, found dead. They were pulled from a pond on the city's south side just late last night.
WRTV's Nikki Dementri is live near that pond near Bluff Road and Troy Avenue.
Nikki, we know you've been following this story since the very beginning. What is the scene like there tonight, and what are you learning?
Mark and Nicole, good evening. First of all, I just want to say that this loss is felt not only by friends and family, but the entire community here. I want to bring your view over to a small memorial that started right at the pond's edge. I spoke with the man who started that little memorial here. He tells me he lives in this neighborhood. He doesn't know the family, though, but he, too, is a young father, and he, too, brings his kids to fish here, and he can only imagine the pain. Now, one thing is clear with friends, family, the community, it's the same. There are so many questions right now, so many unanswered questions. A Spider-Man fishing pole, tire tracks, glass, they're all remnants at this pond off of Bluff Road in South Indianapolis on Wednesday morning. Hours earlier, the pond here was the scene.
Okay, that's the first I've heard of a Spider-Man fishing pole. So at one point, the oldest boy would have to be, I'm assuming, was out of the car with a Spider-Man fishing pole, assuming it belongs to them. How did he get back in the car strapped in?
Good question.
Now, if you go back as far as a little bit on that, when they start talking about the glass and everything on the ground, was that glass after on the ground after they pulled the vehicle out or before?
That we don't know. I'm hung up on the Spider-Man fishing pole because at some point the 5-year-old, going to assume it'd be the oldest one, right? With the Spider-Man fishing pole, was out of that car and then somehow got put back in the car and strapped in. Does anybody else find that odd?
There's a lot of oddities here.
What were you going to say, Muscles?
Yeah, that is very weird. I mean, that gives you. If it's theirs, or if it's if it truly is theirs, and ironically, I mean, how would you find a spider? It's a little ironic to me. So then that says a lot to me. I mean, that's a whole different story, in my opinion, because they've already been fishing. You're right.
So then they've gone fishing. He's been on the phone. Why are the poles left there? Wouldn't you be putting the poles back in the car to go home? So you put the little boy back in the car and strap him in. You leave the poles there, and then what? Why were the poles left? This couldn't have happened that fast. Unless it did.
Wow.
Somehow the little boy gets strapped back in. The fishing poles are left out. Was he going back to get the fishing poles and clean up? And next thing you know, the car's going into the pond. It'd been sitting there the whole time, so it didn't just get put into gear all of a sudden. Yeah, Ashley, were they leaving? That's what I want to know. Happy Hoggus said this is a setup. This is a setup. Wolfcat said maybe they were forced back into the car. So his pole and the oldest boy, of course, it's going to be the 5-year-old, the Spider-Man pole, are left are left right there. The 3 children were found deceased in the car, strapped in. You guys see where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is crazy. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. I want to hear what you guys think so I don't feel like I'm so crazy.
No, that makes it changes everything. You're right. I mean,
knowing that the 5-year-old was outside of that car at any point in time changes everything for me.
Yep.
So many questions right now. It says on the screen. So there's the fishing pole right there. So he got put back in the car. Wouldn't the dad get in the car, turn the car on, put it in reverse and head home? What happened? He gets put back in the car and, well, 4 people deceased.
A Spider-Man fishing pole, tire tracks, glass. They're all remnants at this pond off the Bluff Road in South Indianapolis on Wednesday morning. Hours earlier, the pond here was the scene of a recovery mission. Nearly a week to the day that the Mormon family was last seen, their bodies were recovered by divers. Family first reported 27-year-old Kyle Mormon and his 3 children, 1-year-old Kyron Holland, 2-year-old Kiana Holland, and 5-year-old Kyle Mormon II, missing on Saturday. The 4 were last seen last Wednesday night around 11. Mormon told family he was taking the kids fishing.
Okay, so we know that part. Let's go back. I stopped with the Spider-Man pole because that tells me that Kyle Mormon II at some point was outside of the car. Now I want to talk about what Lone Wolf was saying because it's really important and I didn't mean to skip over it. Was that glass there before or after? How did that glass get shattered on the ground unless somebody broke that glass? It obviously didn't happen from hitting the water. The glass would be in the pond and it wouldn't break like that. Where did all that glass come from?
The other question is, who besides family knew he was going fishing with the kids?
I don't know.
And there's one person that's totally missing from this entire, with everything going on.
Who?
He had just gotten custody of all his kids. I have been trying to search for the mother and I can't find anything. It's like she just disappeared. There's no information.
That's what I want to know. Where's the mother to these 3 babies? At what point was the oldest? It'd have to be the oldest because the baby wasn't out on the dock, or on the bank fishing with the Spider-Man fishing pole. I very seriously doubt the little 2-year-old was. I think they were tucked away nicely in the car. So at what point was Kyle Jr. outside of that car with his little Spider-Man fishing pole, put back in, strapped in, then this car winds up in the pond? Also, where did all this glass come from? This glass is shattered all over the bank. Where'd this glass come from? And you're right. Where's the mom? 3 children are deceased. This woman has nothing to say. Where's the mom? Not his mom, the mom of the 3 children.
Yeah, especially since Kyle had just gotten custody of the kids. Why hasn't the mother come forward?
Anyone else find that odd? Because I do.
Yeah, I'm kind of wigged out. My mind's going 90 miles an hour.
Ashley,
and for all that glass to be shattered on the bank, okay, I know as far as that the divers when they go down to check a vehicle and everything, they break the glass in the pond.
Now say that again. They do the glass in the pond. What? Because all this glass was up on the bank. Now, what'd you say?
Okay. Anytime when divers are going into a submerged vehicle, they break the glass underwater.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm saying, where did this glass come from? It's up on the bank. It's not down in the. It's not down in the water. It's not down in the pond.
Now,
Ashley Oaks, did that fishing pole belong to them? I missed it. They have not verified that the Spider-Man fishing pole and the blue open face belong to them, but they keep bringing it up, so we're just going to assume for right now it did belong to them. Which really freaks me out that at some point the little boy was outside of the vehicle, so he gets unstrapped, gets his fishing pole, fishing with dad, gets strapped back in, and here we are. They're all deceased. All of them. All four. Every one of them.
I was taking my last breath to get them back home.
And that's exactly what family did. The pond off the Bluff Road was the focus of their search after they learned Mormon's last phone location. IMPD earlier noted they too searched this area with drones and by foot.
Kai is fine. Oh, he's the smartest little boy I know.
Now, I've spoken with several family members, including Kyle's mom and the kid's grandmother, during and since the recovery. They're all in shock, devastated, and are asked for privacy at this time. Although IMPD would not directly answer any specific questions we have about this investigation, Chief Randall Taylor did share his thoughts on how the case was handled.
I really can't comment too much on it, but our prayers are certainly with that family, and Godspeed that they can get through it. But we'll be looking into it to see what actually happened there, and what things we need to look at in the future. If there's anything different we could have done. I don't know that there was anything else that was going to stop that from occurring, but we'll certainly review it.
Stop what from occurring? Was this an accident or not? Very, very odd the way he phrased that.
Very much so.
Okay, I'm going to assume that she's standing on the ramp. Does anybody know? Is this where the car went into the water?
That's what I want to know.
Wherever the shattered glass is on the bank is where the car probably more than likely went in the water.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see any glass behind her right now. I'd love to see that boat ramp.
Again, there are so many unanswered questions here, not just by family, friends, and the communities, but by us as well. Now, some of those questions include, when were police out here searching? Where were they searching? How many times did they search? And if there was anything more they believe that could have been done to solve and help bring justice to this family.
Why are they using words like justice? An accident wouldn't require justice. Are you guys getting my frustration? I sound like a broken record. Muscles and Mascara is going to come beat my ass.
No, I'm not.
Oh my goodness. The wording's very important in every case. So if we had an accident, then there wouldn't be words like homicide investigator, reward, justice for this family. God's not going to give you justice. An accident's an accident. What's going on?
During this time.
Nikki, hopefully some of those answers come out in the next few days here. You did mention that police didn't talk about the specifics of this case, but they did talk to you about what goes into a missing persons case. What did you learn from that?
So So they talked about a lot of different things except the actual specifics of the case, as you mentioned. Now, we talked about what goes into a missing persons case, staffing issues, transparency. They tell me more resources are always needed. Right now, that missing persons unit has 7 detectives. Again, they could always use more help. I did directly ask them, and Commander Matthew Thomas, I should say, with IMPD, I directly asked him, some community members across the board have been feeling that IMPD could be doing more. I asked him for his response.
Well, we look forward to continue to listen to our community and work through any different perspectives we have. But what we find is a lot of times those align, and we just need some opportunities to sit down, have a discussion, and really gather feedback.
Again, police did ask us not to ask anything specific to the Mormon family case. Live in South Indianapolis, Nikki Dementri, WR.
And again, that's very suspicious to me too. Don't ask anything specific.
I have a legit question. Can someone answer it for me?
Yeah.
I wonder, is that some type of protocol where, because I know in some states and some, areas, it's like, okay, if a missing person is da-da-da-da-da, we automatically have to get a homicide unit involved. We have to automatically get feds involved or certain, depending on what it is. I wonder if that's what it is.
That I couldn't tell you because every department does it different. Cricket said the reward was put in place when they went missing. I'm not talking about that reward. I'm not talking about the $10,000 that was offered last weekend. I'm talking about in the law enforcement press release where they mention, tips helping them with the investigation. You could get up to $1,000. I'm assuming it's through Crime Stoppers. Tips leading to a felony arrest, not the 10,000. I didn't mean to confuse anybody.
Yeah, and why are they already at felony arrest and everything else if it was an accident? So just me posted in here that she was more confused now than she was when we got started. I agree. It's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, I didn't mean to confuse everybody more. I kind of really thought I had this lined out pretty good. And the more I started going through it, I'm like, God,
no,
we're all
it just gets weirder. Yeah, it just gets weirder. I mean, that's just all there is. The more you dig, and it seems like that's how it goes all the time too. When there's something strange, the more you dig, the weirder it gets. So, well, here we are.
That missed it, came in. I know people pop in at different times. What I was focusing on when I was talking about the homicide and the reward, not to get it confused, because I think I did get it confused, and I did not mean to. So, from the IMPD release, it says anyone with information about this incident, not accident, should contact Detective Jesus Soria at the IMPD homicide office. Homicide is not an accident. All right. So then the next paragraph says, alternatively, they tell people you can call Crime Stoppers and remain anonymous. Why would we be calling Crime Stoppers if this is an accident?
Right.
It says you will remain anonymous and may be eligible for a cash reward of up to $1,000 if the information leads to a felony arrest.
That's telling you murder.
Cricket says they always offer that in Indiana, honestly, not only for homicides. And they do that here too. But what I'm saying is if it's an accident, why would there be any offer of any sort of reward? Because there wouldn't be a felony arrest. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody's going to get arrested if this is an accident. Something else is going on here, guys. We're going to continue to cover it for sure. Right now, okay, everybody in chat, of course, I want to hear from everybody on panel too. Where is everybody leaning right now in this? Do you think this is something that Kyle did? Do you think that there is foul play? Or do you believe this is just an accident?
Two possibilities. I wouldn't be surprised if it was cows doing and planning, or if it was some type of foul play. It's one of the two.
What are you thinking, Muscles?
Yeah, I don't think accident anymore. That I was kind of leaning that direction till I found out first about the neck issue. I mean, though it could still be possible, you know, that he was still doing something and it happened. But now with all this other stuff, I don't think that. And I'll go back to this where he took custody of where he got custody of the kids. That's really weird because I don't know, and I'm not even going to pretend I do. You know, what kind of benefits come with that? Was he receiving any kind of funding benefits from the state that somebody might have been interested in? Should he not be around anymore? And then the kids were just inadvertently involved too. You know,
See where
that kind of stuff.
I definitely see where you're going with that. Cricket has got all the comments tonight. I love it. Cricket said, even with an accident, they want answers. This is true. This is true. They very rarely will put up any sort of reward for that, though, because they can piece together an accident a lot easier than a homicide. And I've never say never. I'm just saying up until today, I've never seen a homicide detective assigned to something that they think is an accident. Okay, Cricket says, even with an accident, they want answers. So if there is a witness that can help, that's awesome. What makes it strange for me, this is Cricket, is that the father was found floating outside the car. Me too. Floating outside the car a week later. People had been in that area looking around, drone and everything. How did he suddenly start floating around last Tuesday night?
This don't make no sense.
Can someone help me? I mean, Lone Wolf, what are you thinking?
Especially if he's got a broken neck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they search and rescue team was using sonar. That's how they found the location of the car. And they brought in specialized divers and everything.
I don't know that they have any divers at the pond, but now that what I'm thinking about what Cricket said, July 6th, I'm going to assume since he got there at 11 o'clock, this happened early morning of July 7th. Okay, so roughly a week. He's just out there floating around on Tuesday night. How the hell did that happen? Did he float outside of the car? He was found outside of the car.
Yeah, I can't even understand it. I can't. There's so many possibilities. You know, at first I didn't think there was that many possibilities, but we've sat here obviously and ran through a ton of them. It's crazy.
You know what, Brooks? They probably did. You know, you're asking why is homicide involved? You know, for their own doing, they're probably putting on all these authorities on board because of what they may think. I mean, like everybody's saying foul play. I mean, I'm kind of leaning more towards the foul play because somebody probably wanted him gone. He got them kids. They didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that's why they got homicide involved because they're thinking it's more than just some missing person stuff. This is a murder.
Something like that is going on because they would not be investigating it still. It's been 2 days. An accident is easy for them to put together. They have the car. They have all 4 of them. By now, they can tell what's going on.
Yeah. It's foul play.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, this has been quite an interesting, eye-opening, frustrating conversation. Not that I'm frustrated with any of you guys because we have a lot more to discuss, and there's going to be a lot more coming out. This is not anywhere near as simple as some people want to make it sound. Can we at least agree on that?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a heck of a lot more because I just keep going through other things. It's disgusting what I'm thinking about. So I'll save that for a different day, though.
Oh, and we will. As soon as we hear anything on this, we will go live and discuss it. This is not the last we're going to hear of this case, guys. So I want to thank Muscles and Mascara for coming up. Big round of applause for our girl Muscles.
Thank you.
Thanks a million as always. Melanie, big treat you coming up. You haven't been on panel in a long time. Missed having you up here.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for having us.
All right, guys. I will talk to you guys in Discord right after this.
All righty.
Lisa
Y'all
early.
have a good evening.
Thanks. Lisa says, are these people related to Suzanne Morphew? That's what I was thinking too when I heard the name. I'm like, wouldn't that be something if they are related to Suzanne Morphew? Not gonna put that out there yet. It's just not a very common last name. You're right, Angel. Very interesting case. And you guys are all interesting people. Best chat, best community on YouTube. We're going to keep following this. Please leave me a comment after the show. It doesn't have to be immediately, but anything that you think about with this very odd and tragic case, let me know what you're thinking, because this has really got my gears grinding. You guys have a great night. I will see you back here tomorrow. You all are the best. Have a good one. Bye-bye.